Welcome to Unity's inspirational message for Sunday, May 24th, brought to you courtesy of the coronavirus. Otherwise, we would be meeting in person. Today's talk is Meaning, Purpose, and Ultimate Uncertainty. This is a continuation of our series on the idea of embracing uncertainty. So glad you could join us. Last week, we talked about collecting our heroes and sheroes, looking at those people that inspired us, that did something or wrote something or just set an example for us that really touched our soul and helped us to grow. And at the same time, I offered you the spiritual practice to become a hero yourself, simply by committing to finding the blessings in every situation, no matter what that situation was, whether it was wonderful or whether it was awful. That every time we caught ourselves saying, this is really awful, I hate it, I don't want this to be happening, that we turn around and say, but in there is a blessing for me. In there is something that's going to help me grow stronger, that's going to expand my heart, that's going to make me more compassionate than maybe I even thought myself capable of. Stop the sharing here and just see you face to face. There's a efficiency expert who gave a talk one day, and at the end of her talk, she said, please don't try these techniques at home. Well, one of the people in the audience said to her, why not use these at home? She said, well, let me tell you a story. My husband used to make me breakfast every morning. I'd watch him take every item out of the fridge one at a time and bring it to the table, bring it to the stove. It took him about 20 minutes to create breakfast for me. And I said, if you brought all the things out of the fridge at one time, you could do it a lot faster. They said, well, did it work? And she said, yes, it did. I can now make my own breakfast in 7 minutes. We get a lot of advice in life, and some of it's good and some of it's not for us. Let's put it that way. But as we go through life, there's really this whole thing about learning to love life, learning to live a life that we love, finding that meaning and purpose for ourselves. Here's a motto that I think you might like. If you're not loving life, you're not living love. If you're not loving your life, then you're not living love. So that's really about getting into what's our why, what is our purpose and meaning in life. Friedrich Nietzsche said, he who has a why to live can bear almost any hour. When we have a why, when we have a purpose, a meaning, no matter what happens to us in circumstances, we seem to be able to get through it. Not that there won't be a struggle, but we have this great motivation because we see a bigger picture. We see something at the end of the tunnel, knowing that that light is not a train heading our way. So purpose, we talk about purpose as a measure of the success of our life. This isn't a purpose like a resume. This isn't all the skills or all the things you've accumulated, not an inventory of your life. But it's a deeper purpose, a purpose that has meaning. Meaning is that aspect in our life about why we do something. Why are we doing this? And our purpose is to act in accordance, to be authentically aligned with that meaning that we have found in our own soul, in our own heart. And basically, we all want to know that we really count, that what we do is important, that it makes a difference. And, so many times in school and in work, just in life, we get set up to be in competition with each other, as opposed to having that mindset and that heart set of really being in partnership with each other. Because we're all doing this together. And boy, I'll tell you, in this time of this incredible world situation, it's never been more evident that we really need to work together for the betterment of all life on our planet. And today being Memorial Day, it's a time that we celebrate heroes. And when we get to the idea of meaning and purpose, we think about the heroes that have these grandiose purposes in life to change the world. And I think that in this time of when things have been a bit slower for the last 8 weeks, we've got to ponder and maybe get a new viewpoint on things, because I have such admiration and appreciation for people that I might not even have thought of before. The people that clean our places, whether it be a restaurant, whether it be a hospital, the people that are making my pizza or serving at any of the restaurants, people that are cashiers at the grocery store. How about the people that stock the shelves, and even people that drive the food there, the distribution centers, that I am amazed at the number of people that find their meaning and purpose in doing work that makes my life work, makes your life work. I mean, it's just a great sense of appreciation. And we begin to understand it's not that resume, it's not the big grandiose things. It's those things that we do out of love, out of commitment, out of that sense of meaning and purpose that we have. Last week, I talked about Viktor Frankl, who had been a prisoner in the concentration camps in World War II. He wrote a book, Finding the Meaning of Life. And he came up with a term called logotherapy. Logotherapy. And basically, how he came up with this idea, because he was a physician, and in the concentration camp where he was the only physician. And one of his friends in the concentration camp found a way to escape. And the night they were supposed to escape, Victor was feeling very unsettled. Just, it didn't quite feel right. And then he got it that if he left, his patients would have no doctor at all. Now, not that they had any supplies, but he could offer them some care. He could offer them some reassurance. And he really knew that's what gave his life meaning, to be able to help people, to be able to do things for people. So he went out and told his friend that he couldn't leave his patients and that he couldn't join him in the escape. And in that moment, Victor got it that living from your meaning and purpose was greater even than personal freedom. He was willing to give up his personal freedom. And it was one of those things that even if he had the personal freedom, he would have been trapped because he wouldn't have fulfilled his true purpose and meaning in life. So the word logos has a double meaning in Greek. It means both spirit and meaning. And because of that, there's a real interesting different take, if you might have, on one of the original creation stories in the Bible. It's in John 1, the first verse. Here we go. First chapter, first verse. And this is actually the fourth creation story in the Bible. And you may have heard it before. It says, in the beginning was the Word, or the Logos, if you will. And the Word, or the Logos, was with God, and the word Logos was God. Now, if you take the meaning of the word logos to mean meaning and spirit, think about this idea of creation. Again, creation isn't something that happened once. It's what happens all the time. So in the beginning of everything, of all of life and of our individual life and of every day, in the beginning was the meaning and the spirit. And the meaning and the spirit was God. And the meaning and spirit was with God and was God. Doesn't that just, for me, it just gave me such a great sense of that oneness that we're all in, that at the beginning of everything, the beginning of every day, this very moment, the beginning of this moment is the meaning and the spirit that is with God and that is God. What just a brilliant gift to give to us, this idea. Viktor Frankl just brought so many gifts to this world. There's an American philosopher, William James, and he wrote, I am done with great things and big plans, great institutions and big successes. I am for those tiny, invisible, loving human forces that work from individual to individual, creeping through the crannies of the world. I'm done with a big resume, with a big collection, with a big accumulation, and I am for those tiny, invisible, loving connections, that whole web of oneness in which we all live. So Viktor Frankl basically said it did not really matter what we expected from life, but rather what life expected from us. He understood that he might have expected from life freedom, but he felt inside that life force, that God force within him, that life expected from him to be loving and caring and compassionate, to live into his meaning and purpose. Some of you may know Eric Clapton, musician. And Eric had quite a history of drug and alcohol problems until he went to a center where he could be treated. And after he came out of the treatment, and it's no fun detoxing for sure, but he felt very moved to give back. He had been given so much. He'd been given his life back, really, his beautiful, beautiful life back. So He has opened up a crossroads center in Antigua. It's one of the islands, because that was his way of giving back. He just, in his sobriety, in his freedom from that addiction, he found his meaning and purpose to give back, to love others, to give them the same opportunity that he had been given. So what is life giving us? Boy, these days it's giving us a lot of surprises, that's for sure. And quite frankly, it can be irritating. It can upset us. It can mm, make us a little irked, if you will, because it seems like it's taking away our freedom in many ways. It seems like it's limiting us. But in truth, the question is not what is life giving us, it's what are we giving life? What are we giving life in all of this? And as we look to answer that question, the answers will be individual and unique for each and every one of us. And this is not a comparison. It's not like comparing the awfuls or comparing the blessed or comparing the size of our gift. There is not a size. It's about the intention. It's about those tiny, invisible connections that I just talked about, that idea of love and appreciation and compassion in everything we do and we say and how we interrelate with one another. I have a favorite Brian Andreas saying. He's an artist that I have painted actually on a cupboard in my house. And it says, I decided one day I wanted to be a help in the world. And just like magic, everywhere I went, there I was needed. So what are we giving life? Are we willing to respond to the needs that we might find around us? Are we willing to respond to those tiny little invisible connections? Are we willing to make those tiny, visible, invisible connections one to another? Love, I think, is the universal purpose for all of us. What's different is how we each express that love. God is love. So of course that's going to be our purpose, to express God as love in everything we do. But the two-step is first we need to figure out, what do we love to do? What brings us joy? What puts a smile on our face? What do we just really appreciate about our lives and the way we live it? And once we've determined that, and that may change, that may morph over time, how do we use what we love to do to help the world around us? How do we use what we love to do to help the world around us? Sometimes it's a skill we have that we use for somebody else. It might be cooking, and we find a way to help with our cooking to help other people. It might be mowing a lawn. It might be singing a song. It might be praying. That just brings us joy. We love to do it, and so we love to do it for others because we know that prayer lifts everyone up. There is always, I think, that question. We think we found our purpose. We think we found our meaning in life. Did we get it right? Is this the right path? Am I sure this is why God put me here on earth? Is this sure? Am I doing the right thing? And there's a wonderful little book out written by Castaneda. And in it, he shares a quote, a piece of wisdom information, actually, from Don Juan, who's a Yaqui warrior. Now, when I say Don Juan, I'm not talking about the womanizer. This was the name of this Yaqui warrior. And he said, when we're sitting in that question, am I doing the right thing? Is this my purpose? Is this my meaning? Do I count in the world? Am I making a difference in the world? And he says, does this path have a heart? Does this path you've chosen, this path of love that you've chosen, does it have a heart? If it does, the path is good. If it doesn't, it's of no use. Both paths lead nowhere, but one has a heart and one doesn't. One makes for a joyful journey as long as you follow it. You are one with it. The other will make you curse your life. One makes you stronger, the other weakens you. And we do know when we're on that path with the heart, we feel energized. Somehow, even when things are somewhat difficult, that they take a lot of effort, there's also an ease to it. But in this whole quote, one of the things I really sticks with me is the fourth line down when he said, both paths lead nowhere. Both paths lead nowhere, whether we're on the right path or the wrong path. It's not like we have a destination to go to. And in the human life, we're so linear and so measurable, we sometimes think things are only worthwhile if it has a destination. But the path with the heart, or with the way we live our life, is not about reaching a destination, but it's about following and expressing that meaning and spirit that is in the beginning of us, in the beginning of all creation. So I have a wonderful story I read the other day about finding meaning and purpose. And this mother, her 17-year-old boy, was coming up to Valentine's Day. And he's asking his mother what, he had a girlfriend, it's his first real girlfriend. He said, what should I do? What should I do for Valentine's Day to make it special? His mother said, well, you know, they're having a sale on roses down at the grocery store. Why don't you go down there and buy 50 roses, and here's what you do with them. So he did that. And here's what his mother suggested that he do. That he and his girlfriend go to a senior's home that was in the community and give a rose to each and every person there. And they're 17-year-olds. First they went in, they were feeling kind of awkward. But as they went from room to room, they kind of warmed up to it, and people were talking to them, and they just really appreciated somebody thinking about them on Valentine's Day and giving them this great gift. And when he got home, he was just like off the ground. He was flying off the ground. He had found a meaning and purpose in his life by sharing his attention and his love in a way that lifted other people up. And when he lifted other people up, of course he was lifted up too. And you know, his girlfriend had to love him for life. What a sweet guy to think of doing this for all these wonderful people. So it's a same way with us. We can find that little thing, those little invisible threads, and realize that that's our meaning and purpose, that way of showing love, unique for each of us. We're not all going to go out and buy roses and do that, but we each have that thing we can share. Maybe it's a piece of poetry. Maybe it's a card that we drop in the mail. Maybe it's a phone call. I don't know what it is for you. I can only know for me. But it's a great, great journey to find out what it is that's really going to make us tick. Well, so that's our meaning and purpose, kind of a grand scale, not great in depth, but certainly to start the wheels turning. Because in this time, in our world, I think all of us, beyond the meaning and purpose, think about the ultimate uncertainty. And that is, when are we going to die? I mean, we know we're all going to die at some point in time. Socrates said, no one knows whether death, which men in their fear apprehend to be the greatest evil, may not be the greatest good. We have no idea what it means after we leave this physical body, but with so many experiences of death around us, touching our communities, in some cases our families, it really makes us think about our own mortality, about the legacy that we leave behind, about what we want to do while we're still in this human form. And there's a great phrase that I'd like to share with you, and it says, embrace the hearse. Whenever we resist this idea of death, which is ultimately, the uncertainty is when, but we know that ultimately it will happen. The uncertainty is when it's going to happen. When we resist that, it takes the joy out of life. It reduces our meaning and purpose because we are taken in with something that isn't happening right now. It's something in the future which doesn't exist yet, even though we know that it's coming. And I've worked with a number of people that have gone through really difficult illnesses, especially cancer treatments. And one thing I've noticed, that with each one of these people, once they had made peace with death, that not that they wanted to die, they wanted to live for sure, but they weren't afraid of death. They just made peace with it. That is when their healing began, because healing really happens on that soul level, not necessarily in the physical level. But I saw so many people have total turnarounds in regaining their health once they made peace with death. And it's not any less for those of us that are not experiencing that serious illness, that if we stop being afraid of death, that certainty, the ultimate certainty, the only thing, as I said, is uncertain about when it is, that when our time comes, we will be ready because we will be complete. We will know we have done what we came here to do. We have lived our purpose, and we have lived it with meaning that is authentic to our soul. We are complete. So your spiritual practice for this week, let's bring up the screen share again. Here we go. Discover your meaning and purpose. Do what you love and share the love. Do what you love and share the love. Is that the best kind of homework that it could absolutely be? I want to close this talk by sharing a beautiful song with you by Daniel Nahmod. It's called The Last Song, and it kind of sums up the whole talk today in this beautiful song. Enjoy.
If this is my last song, if this is my final day, if tomorrow I'll be gone, what do I want to say? If this is my last song, if it's my time to go, when my body's moved on, what will I have to show? No, not fortune or fame, they scatter to the wind. The things that make a name just don't matter in the end. But is the world a little more peaceful? Oceans and sky a little more blue. Is humankind a little bit wiser about the good that we can do? Does the sun shine a little bit brighter where before there was only rain? If so, then I'm glad I came. If these are my last words for all of the earth to hear, if all that I have ever been is about to disappear, if these are my last words, there's nothing that I need to say. I have only tried to serve. It's never been about talking anyway. So much hurt there is to heal, it's hard to understand. All I can hope to feel is that I am doing what I can. Is the world a little more peaceful? Oceans and sky a little more blue. Is humankind a little bit wiser about the good that we can do? Does the sun shine a little bit brighter where before there was only rain? If so, then I'm glad I came. Given hope to the hopeless? Has a hungry soul been fed? Has a child stood a little bit taller 'cause of something that I said? Have I left a little kindness? Have I eased a little pain? If so, then I'm glad I came. For that, I'm so glad I came. If this is my last song, what do I leave behind? What do I pass on if I am out of time?
Thank you, Daniel. A song always moves me. Well, now's the time to celebrate our prosperity. We have been given so many gifts, and I thank you to each and every one of you who continues to support this ministry during this unusual time. You know, the building may be closed, but the church isn't. We are still operating, and it's your love offerings that make it possible. Part of our tithes this quarter goes to Haven House, who's doing their great work too, helping families that are in difficulty during these difficult times. Some of you donate online, and that's pretty easy. Go to our website and click donate, or also people send in checks to the church office. So again, thank you. But let's right now take this idea of prosperity and to truly celebrate it by taking it in our heart in prayer. Divine love through me blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. I praise, give thanks, and I'm glad. And so it is. Amen. And we're going to close as part of the service, this message part, with a song that we often closed our service with. I choose love. Go ahead and sway and sing it home.
Peace in my life is growing because I choose love. Love's always present, it's what I'm made of. I choose love. We are a part of each other. We are one tie that binds us, that can't be undone. I choose love. I choose love. Peace in my family is growing because I choose love. Let love be present, it's what we're made of. I choose love. We are a part of each other. We are one loving family, sharing one son. I choose love. Yes, I do. Peace for our planet is growing because I choose love. Let love be present, it's what we're made of. I choose love. We are a part of each other. We are one choice unites us. Let this be the one. I choose love. I choose love. I choose love.
I choose love. I hope you enjoyed that. It brought back memories of times that we are together, because we will be again. But go ahead and do it. Binge watch Unity on Demand. We have a meditation today, and if you didn't catch the first part, if I were brave. No, it should be I'm not lost, I'm exploring. I didn't update that. God bless. Have a great week.